Rap singer Eazy-E has lost his battle with AIDS just 10 days after revealing that he had the disease.
All right.
The seriousness got into it when it was my, maybe third visit, when we had to go up there early in the morning because he was going to have a procedure done to clear the leakage of his lungs. And from that point on was the last time he could talk.
Eazy-E's death has always been a big mystery, and now his son has come out with some truly shocking secrets about it. Seriously, how did we let the perpetrator get away with this?
I'm strong on keeping him. It's not about you guys, it's about the kids. He did this for us, you see what I'm saying? So this legacy is about keeping us together, but hey, that's, like I say, that's why hopefully
Eazy-E and his group NWA were true trailblazers in the late 1980s and early 1990s, shaking up the hip-hop scene with their raw lyrics and hardcore image. Their music didn't just entertain, it boldly tackled societal vices head-on. Despite their impact, Eazy-E's life was tragically cut short in 1995 due to complications from HIV/AIDS.
He's not feeling well. And I said, oh, okay, where we going? You going to his house? It was odd. It was an odd day. So it's like, I didn't expect that it was possibly a weekday, that we're, I'm going over there, like he didn't come pick me.
Today, Eazy-E's legacy continues to resonate, especially through his son, Eric Wright Jr. In a recent interview with The Recollectors, Wright Jr. shared intimate memories of growing up with his father and how he coped with the loss at a young age. One way he honors his father's memory is by actively promoting AIDS awareness, encouraging testing and educating communities about the disease's impact.
Like, why does he ask me that? Like, I don't know. I like everything he does, you know what I mean? Like, but it touched me because you cared to ask me, so it stuck in me.
Reflecting on the film Straight Outta Compton, which brought NWA's story to a new generation, Wright Jr. expressed gratitude for how it portrays his father. He sees the film as a tribute that keeps Eazy-E's spirit alive in a positive light, celebrating his iconic influence on the music industry. As far as the world knew, this was the truth. But Eazy's son seems to be aware of another, seemingly more profound hidden truth. It seems that young Eazy believes Suge Knight deceived his father. He uploaded to Instagram a video of Knight's now famous 2003 interview with Jimmy Kimmel Live, which was his first public appearance following his release from prison on parole violations related to and firearms offenses. This is the new thing, right? So if somebody is gonna do something to somebody, technology is so high, right? So you shoot somebody, you go to jail forever, Knight said. Kids, you don't want to go to jail forever, right? So they got this new thing out, people sell them all the time. They get this stuff they get blood from somebody with AIDS, and then they shoot you with it. That's the slow death. However, young Eazy said in a post, "I've been known my pops was Ked. His death never added up to what PPL have always said. Maybe they think we're blind to the truth. But for you new fans, youngsters, and PPL who just don't know much, notice in Straight Outta Compton, Eazy did not get sick until after the studio incident with Suge, and look how he acknowledged and admits on this interview with Jimmy Kimmel injecting PPL instead of shooting them is a new thing that's done. The truth is out there, it's just blinded by the fact that Eric had a lot of free your mind rip Eazy-E Eazy-E F Suge Knight. Wright Jr. notes that it was believed that Eazy-E's habit of having affairs was the cause of his passing. Ruthless co-founder Jerry Heller wrote the following in his 2006 book Ruthless, a Memoir. It would be hard to imagine a p-hound more rabid than Eric Wright. Even before Ruthless kicked into high gear, he had multiple girlfriends. I would sit with him in that little former video office adjacent to Lanark Park and marvel as I listened to him talk to his multiple lovers on the phone, one after another. Eric, I would say to him, sadly prescient, P is going to be your downfall. He was so smart in every other way. Women were his Achilles heel. I couldn't believe that a guy with so few other weaknesses indulged himself in such a huge one. However, what made Knight want to K Eazy? According to Heller's account, Knight and two of his thugs accosted Eazy at Galaxy Studios at Sounds of Los Angeles Records in 1991. To sign with Knight's Death Row label, they used baseball bats to coerce Eazy into releasing My Shalel, The Dioc, and Dr. Dre from Ruthless. That's the studio incident that Wright Jr. refers to.
A couple of Suge's family members got the wrath of how I felt at that time. His nephew, everybody else.
You knew them?
Yeah, went to school.
Oh, you were in high school with him?
Yeah.
Heller has now shifted his position, and Straight Outta Compton has reignited curiosity in the events leading up to Eazy's diagnosis and demise. He started talking about Eazy's passing while sharing his regrettable decision to talk the rapper, whom he referred to as his best friend, out of Kung Knight.
You know, it was right next door to Easy's and had a lot of memories there. I just thought I would move. And my brother and my nephew live out here.
Heller stated that he thought he ought to have let Suge Knight hurt Eazy-E. He said that Suge Knight is one of the world's most ethically repugnant people. When questioned if Eazy-E would have received a conviction and a punishment for the M, he gave a negative response. According to Heller, no one has ever been put in jail for Eazy-E, Biggie, or Tupac's M's. It would be an insult to his intelligence, he said, to think that the FBI, the most successful law enforcement organization in the world, was incapable of solving these cases if they had genuinely wanted to.
Most important moment of my life probably was, the 8 years that I spent with Eric Wright.
Heller stated that he should have enabled Suge Knight to injure Eazy-E. He stated that Suge Knight is one of the world's most morally repulsive individuals. When questioned if Eazy-E would have been prosecuted and jailed for the M, he answered negatively. Heller claimed that no one has been imprisoned for the M's of Tupac, Biggie, or Eazy-E. He questioned whether the FBI could not have solved these cases, claiming that it would be an insult to his intelligence to believe that the world's most successful law enforcement agency couldn't have solved these crimes if they had truly wanted to. When pressed on his inquiry about who was imprisoned for Eazy-E's death, Heller elaborated on his suspicions about the circumstances surrounding Eazy-E's passing. He explained that he considered Eazy-E's death to be suspicious. Heller stated that in July 1994, he arranged for Eazy-E to receive a thorough medical examination by a well-known Beverly Hills doctor who also happened to be his own physician. The goal of this checkup was to properly evaluate Eazy-E's health. Heller underlined Eazy-E's promiscuous lifestyle, noting that he had 11 children with 8 different women. Notably, 2 of these children were born following Eazy-E's death. The Los Angeles Times once reported that Ruthless Records was offering financial assistance to 6 moms and 7 children in the aftermath of Eazy's death in March 1995. However, in an interview with The Post, Jerry Heller stated that the precise number of children Eazy had is unknown. At the time of Eazy's death, his widow, Tomica Woods-Wright, was pregnant with their second child, who was just a year old. It's important to note that none of Eazy's confirmed personal partners, including Wright, have publicly stated that they have had any health difficulties. None of the mothers were HIV positive. None of the children were HIV positive, Heller said. So he went there. He got a complete physical. He got 100% clearance. Then when he started getting sick, sometime after his trip to New York, end of '94, beginning of '95, he went to the hospital and he went to Cedars, Sinai. They brought in doctors from Norwalk Hospital to treat him. Now, why would anyone bring in doctors from Norwalk to Cedars to treat somebody? Cedars is certainly one of the top hospitals in the world and have the finest doctors. That's always been suspect to me. According to journalist Carter Harris, who covered Eazy's final days for Vibe, Eazy's pals brought him to the emergency room at Norwalk Community Hospital on February 16, 1995. He was released on February 19th, but was brought to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center on February 24th, still wheezing.
So, we're going to go see him at the hospital. So, as a kid, it didn't really take effect. I really twittered my ears because we're going to go see my father. You know what I mean?
At first view, it looks like the situation fits with what Tomica Woods-Wright and Jerry said they thought. There are more doubts about Tomica. Who was she, though? To start her career, Tomica Woods-Wright worked for a number of well-known production companies. That being said, she didn't become well-known until she became a secretary at Taboo Records. In the United States, Clarence Avant, who is known as the godfather of black music, started Taboo Records. Clarence and Tomica became friends, and when he moved to Motown Records, she went with him.
Men who were married to or knew women who dads was married or didn't get a divorce from the woman that he was with years ago. That woman comes back in his life, on his deathbed.
Her time at Taboo Records and Motown was very important in developing her skills and knowledge, which eventually led her to start her own business. Clarence Avant is Tomica's boss, and she started her own business. After the death of her husband, Eric Wright, in 1995, Tomica became the CEO of Ruthless Records. She already had the skills she needed to run the record label, which was lucky because she had to deal with a lot of problems. At first, many people in the company didn't believe she could do the job because they thought she didn't have enough experience. To everyone's surprise, though, Tomica showed her strength by bringing the company back to life. She first worked to keep the artists who were already working there, and then she hired new ones.
But just very very blessed to be here to be a part of this experience.
According to some accounts, she only married Eazy because she wanted his money and fame. In 1991, Tomica and Eazy-E met at a bar in Los Angeles and started going out together. At first, they didn't want to get married because they both thought that signing marriage papers wasn't important for their happiness. But when Eazy-E was told he had AIDS and that he didn't have much time left, they chose to get married so that Tomica would get his business. It happened in 1995, just 12 days before Eazy-E died. In spite of everything, Tomica had 2 of their children that year. Dominic Wright, their son, was born in the early 1990s. Dijah, their daughter, was born 6 months after Eazy-E died. A lot of people also think that Tomica has a child from a relationship she had before she met Eazy-E, but this has not been officially confirmed. Whitman Walker Health is a center in Washington, D.C. that specializes in HIV/AIDS care. An official there has said that it is possible for Eazy to have gotten his wife pregnant while he was infected with HIV and for both she and their child to test negative for the virus.
Got the test results back and the test results came back positive. He is HIV positive. I said, okay.
Justin Goforth, who is in charge of community relations for Whitman Walker Health, says that about 1/3 of children born to mothers who have HIV also have HIV. Goforth, a qualified nurse who has had HIV for 23 years, also said that about 2/3 of babies are born without the HIV virus, which means they test negative for it. This happens even if neither the mother nor the child gets any treatment.
Just kept apologizing because at that time, the only ones that knew I was pregnant was he and I. We got married at the hospital because he wasn't sure if he was going to make it through.
But what about the fact that none of Eazy's childbearing mothers have said they had the virus? Justin Goforth made it clear that the chance of getting HIV is much higher during receptive A intercourse compared to V intercourse. He also said that the difference is quite big. He said that if a hetero-S couple doesn't get any action at all, it's likely that the female partner will not get HIV for a long time, maybe even years.
He went through the whole list of, who to trust, who not to trust, who to look out for.
When someone gets HIV and doesn't get treatment, they usually go through an early stage of illness where their viral loads rise significantly while their T-cell count falls. After this first phase, however, there is a time of latency that can last for years, and during which viral loads stay moderate. It is important to remember that HIV infection is harder to happen when the viral load is low, especially through V intercourse. Goforth said that at this point, it is normal for people to have a very low T-cell count, which is similar to how Eazy was portrayed in the movie Straight Outta Compton while he was in the hospital. Besides that, they would usually have a very high virus load. Goforth thought that Eazy might have been infected with HIV sometime between the mid-1980s and the early 1990s by looking back and taking these signs into account. Goforth said, "It would surprise me if none of his partners during that early period of time got infected," Goforth said, "but it wouldn't surprise me if people that were with him for the middle part of the years of his HIV infection didn't get infected. I've been doing this since the 90s and have seen that happen and have had couples sit in my office like, I don't understand. How can he have HIV and I don't have HIV? It definitely happens." Now, what would happen if Suge Knight found someone with a lot of viruses, took their blood and stabbed Eazy? Justin Goforth says that getting HIV through needle sticks is a difficult way to get it. He said that there is solid information because healthcare workers like himself have been stung by needles by people who are known to have HIV. During the interview, Goforth said that the chance of getting HIV from a needle stick is about 0.33% if the blood is known to be HIV positive. Nevertheless, he made it clear that this risk is different from sharing needles for injecting, which involves putting a lot of someone else's blood into your own through a shot. A needle stick is not the only risk that comes with sharing needles.
Sorry, Mr. Wright, but you've tested positive for HIV.
Get the out of here.
What?
A normal T-cell count?
So did Suge Knight really give Eazy-E HIV, which then K'd him? Given when they had their fight in the studio and how clearly Eazy's illness got worse, this situation doesn't seem likely. More likely, Suge Knight may have said that he had something to do with Eazy's death to make himself look scarier in the West Coast rap scene. It was at that time that the disease was subject to the most negative stereotypes, including the false idea that HIV/AIDS only affected LGBTQ+ people or users who shared needles, but Eazy-E probably got the virus from a straight relationship, according to his doctor. I just feel I've got thousands of young fans who have to learn about what's real when it comes to AIDS, the rapper said in a statement, adding that he had only learned of his diagnosis 2 weeks prior. I've learned in the last week that this thing is real, and it doesn't discriminate. It affects everyone. After 9 days, he died. He was 31 years old. Eazy-E's death was of great significance because he was one of the first prominent artists to talk about his HIV/AIDS battle in public. This helped more people understand that HIV/AIDS was a worldwide health disaster that affected people from all walks of life. In 2011, an unclassified FBI document connected Eazy-E and Tupac Shakur to a possible extortion attempt by the Jewish Defense League. Jerry Heller had hired the Jewish Defense League to deal with threats against Suge Knight and neo-Nazi skinhead groups who had also made threats against them. On September 11, 1996, Omitted reported that JDL and others yet unidentified have been extorting money from various rap music stars via death threats. The scheme involves Omitted and other subjects making telephonic death threats to the rap star. Subjects then intercede by contacting the victim and offering protection for a fee. Source reported that Eric Wright, also known as Eazy-E, who owned Ruthless Records, Woodland Hills, California, was a victim of this extortion scheme prior to dying from AIDS. Omitted had also reportedly targeted Tupac Shakur prior to his recent M in Las Vegas, Nevada. As per the Southern Poverty Law Center, the JDL has orchestrated countless attacks in the US and abroad, and has engaged in intense harassment of foreign diplomats, Muslims, Jewish scholars, and community leaders and officials. If the catalogs of other rappers who have died are any sign, Eazy-E's previously released songs and the likely mountain of unreleased material are very valuable. Tupac Shakur has put out 9 records since he died. All of them have been in the top 10 on the Billboard 200. Nielsen SoundScan says that his best-selling album, Until the End of Time, which came out in 2001, has sold 2.2 million copies. Rap pioneer Frost talked about his friendship with Eazy-E and the last few weeks of the NWA in an interview for the documentary For the Record, The Story of Latinos in Hip Hop. Frost is the father of record producer Scoop DeVille, who famously built Poetic Justice for Kendrick Lamar. When one rapper signed to the late MC's Ruthless Records label in 1995, he became close with him, and that changed his life. I'm gonna tell you what happened with Eazy getting AIDS, and I believe this to this day. And I don't care if you guys got it on film, he says. You can tell the world. They gave him tainted needles with acupuncture. Needles that tainted him, they gave it to him. Frost then gives a hint about who the accused Kayer is by saying, I don't want to say that name cause it's the devil's name. But another person in rap, if you know your history of rap, calls him the devil, before concluding that how else could somebody die that fast of AIDS? Have you ever heard of somebody dying in 2 weeks of AIDS, bro? Come on, man, it's just unheard of, bro. Although denial is a normal part of grief, the main question that people who knew the artist have been thinking about since his death is, how did Eazy-E die? For many, it's been easiest to refuse to think that his wild-ass appetite led to his quick decline and death from AIDS complications. To this day, no charges have been brought against them. Eazy-E's influence is evident in the success of other artists who followed in his footsteps. His outspoken storytelling style and ability to truly convey the reality of living in the inner city continue to captivate listeners today. His life and career serve as a reminder of music's ability to affect change and leave a lasting legacy. Eazy-E's career has had a significant impact on the music industry, leaving an enduring mark on hip-hop and beyond. His narrative serves as a reminder of the continuous problems that artists confront, as well as the significance of educating, preventing, and destigmatizing diseases like AIDS. Eazy-E's valiant fight against HIV/AIDS drew global attention to the infection and raised awareness about the significance of safe practices in the music industry. His candor about his condition helped him break down boundaries and fight misconceptions about the disease. By exposing his own story, Eazy-E became a strong advocate for HIV/AIDS prevention, encouraging his fans and fellow artists to prioritize their health. His influence grew beyond the music industry, generating conversations and motivating others to take proactive steps to safeguard themselves. I may not overcome the disease, but I will survive it, and I will continue to make people aware of its dangers. Eazy-E became a change agent through his music and public persona, using his platform to raise awareness of societal concerns such as the impact of HIV/AIDS on vulnerable populations. He boldly tackled major social and political issues, boosting perspectives that were frequently ignored. Today, Eazy-E's legacy inspires musicians to use their platforms to promote positive change and raise awareness about health and social issues. His narrative demonstrates the potential of art to spark conversations and shape the world we live in. Eazy-E's legacy paved the path for several projects to raise HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention. Artists and groups have followed in his footsteps, using their platforms to educate and support individuals suffering from the condition. Eazy-E's death remains an enigma that has captivated the music business and the general public alike. While it is widely acknowledged that AIDS was the official cause of his early death, other conspiracy theories and debates continue. Despite the speculation, one thing is certain: Eazy-E's significance as a pioneering character in hip-hop, as well as his deep influence on molding the genre, cannot be disregarded or underestimated. His narrative serves as a sobering reminder of the complications of celebrity as well as the value of personal wellness. Eazy-E's path shows an artist's ability to leave an indelible mark on society. As we reflect on his legacy, we recognize his major contribution to popularizing gangsta rap and using music to address social and political issues. Though the circumstances surrounding Eazy-E's death will remain unknown, his contributions to the music industry will be treasured and remembered indefinitely. From his legendary records to his part in launching the careers of other well-known artists, Eazy-E's catalog and business attitude have inspired generations of musicians. His impact extends beyond music, as his narrative raises awareness about HIV/AIDS and the significance of safe practices. That's all for the video, folks. Thanks for watching.